Now at 9, the American Legion in Miami, Oklahoma is unveiling a new addition to its museum. And we'll take it over to Allen County, where the fair has local artisans that are turning heads and a profit. Plus, Anvil Axe Co. in Neosho, Missouri puts on an axe throwing tournament.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. The American Legion in Miami, Oklahoma has expanded the museum portion of their building, adding new artifacts to honor veterans. KOAM's Mitch Adams visited the museum to find out more.
It's not all local. This stuff comes from across the country.
A newly expanded museum, housed in the Miami American Legion, displays impressive artifacts spanning from the Revolutionary War to conflicts in Afghanistan.
The recent expansion has happened within the last 6 months, where we've added 1,000 square feet to our existing museum that we had. So now we're up to about 2,800 square feet of museum floor space to exhibit.
The expansion aims to honor America's veterans by providing a space where their stories can be told and preserved. It also serves as an educational tool, offering the public a first-hand look at the realities of war through the belongings of those who lived it.
Part of the history of keeping this history alive, well, I've got a lot of cool stuff. I have sand here from the Normandy beach that people have taken, that had actually brought back to me from Normandy beach. I have various medals of different soldiers, and I've got uniforms from World War I. I have money from the Revolutionary War from 1782. I have a sixpence here. That's the oldest piece in the museum right now, is a sixpence from 1782.
Each exhibit tells a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the enduring spirit of those who have served.
I've got to talk to a lot of people, watch their faces, and tell me that they did not know this even existed. So it is quite a really proud moment that the work we put in is finally starting to get where they can see some of the stuff that we have.
Reporting in Miami, Oklahoma, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
The museum is now open to the public for tours by appointment. Tours can be scheduled by reaching out to the American Legion in Miami. Well, in the height of fair season, Allen County has their own celebrations happening this week. Part of the Allen County Fair was the Peddler's Craft Fair, local artisans showcasing and selling their works of art to the public.
Last year on our first craft fair we had 12 vendors. This is our second year and we have 45. So I think we're going in the right direction. So we can get the community to support us and come out and enjoy themselves. There's plenty of activities for free. One of our main goals is getting sponsorships and things donated for everybody to participate without having to spend an arm and leg to do so.
This is the second year the Peddler's Craft Fair has taken place. Well, it's been a little toasty outside. Let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney.
Well, we still have heat advisories now extended further into Kansas. You can see all of our Kansas counties are under heat advisory. Same with Missouri, Arkansas. Few of our Oklahoma counties all extended until Tuesday at 7 p.m. Now in the hot pink, we also have an excessive heat warning that also extends till Tuesday at 7 p.m. Likely going to be pushed back until Wednesday because we have hot temperatures all the way through then. Now we had a few showers earlier in the day, but for most of the evening it's been clear. Now we're heading into Sunday. We've got a clear start to the day. Temperatures are going to be in the low 80s by 8 a.m. Now once we warm up for the day, we're only getting up to about 94, 95 degrees. We do have a few clouds coming in later in the afternoon. Overall, a pretty nice day. Those upper level clouds may cool us down a little bit. And then we're heading further into the week. We're going to see temperatures continue to spike, but I'll have those details coming up.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, if you're a fan of axe throwing and have some competitive spirit inside you, well, then you may want to make your way over to Anvil Axe Co. It's hosting an axe and knife throwing tournament this weekend. The event is geared towards all people, whether you're a seasoned thrower or a beginner. Events include hatchet, big axe, hatchet duels, knife, and knife duels.
What's nice about it is we have some really competitive throwers right here in our axe house. And so we had 4 of our competitors go to the World Championship. So we compete at a very high level. However, it's built for a recreational crowd as well.
Events continue tomorrow for those interested. Still ahead on KOAM News at 9, a federal investigation reveals dozens of organ donors may have been alive when surgery began. While there are growing concerns about the safety and efficiency of organ donation systems in the United States, the issue has taken on such significance the Health and Human Services Department is pledging reforms. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith takes a look.
Federal officials say far too often organ donors are being prepped for post-death surgery while they may still be alive and have a chance to survive.
This can be fixed and the trust restored by making sure that people are performing adequate exams.
This week, the Health and Human Services Department told Congress these near misses are both disturbing and horrifying. The Trump administration recently reopening an investigation into one organ procurement organization, or OPO, serving Kentucky, Southwest Ohio, and parts of West Virginia. It reviewed 351 cases where donations were authorized but not completed, finding 73 patients were still showing neurological signs. 28 may not have been dead when the procedure started. Officials blaming the problem on poor assessments, lack of communication, and people not properly determining how someone died. Network for Hope, an OPO under review, says it's constantly adapting.
We are putting in multiple changes in our processes so that these kind of things do not reoccur, and we're still doing our investigation into those cases.
Congress says this issue is too important to ignore.
We need more people to donate. We need people to be donors.
Kentucky Congressman Brett Guthrie's mother died while waiting for a liver transplant. Now he's among many lawmakers calling for more transparency in the donation process, with more than 100,000 people currently waiting for a transplant.
The conclusion is going to come when we have confidence in the system.
Federal officials say while this problem is being examined nationwide, the biggest vulnerabilities are occurring in smaller rural hospitals where they believe there are systematic gaps in oversight. In Washington, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
Well, 2/3 of Americans who used Medicaid believe a new budget law will hurt their families. That's according to a new poll. The KFF health tracking poll released Thursday finds that 65% of Americans on Medicaid say the sweeping tax and budget law that President Donald Trump signed this month will hurt their families. Only 1 in 5 say it will help. Perceptions of how the law will affect families vary by political party. Most Democrats and more than half of independents saying the bill will mostly hurt them, while just over half of Republicans say it will help. And United Health Group confirmed Thursday it's under investigation by the Justice Department over its Medicare Advantage program and say it's cooperating. The company says it reached out to the DOJ after reports surfaced and maintains full confidence in its practices. The Wall Street Journal first reported the federal probe in May, saying it centers on potential criminal fraud. United Health is one of several insurers that provides Medicare coverage under federal contracts. The company has been under scrutiny since one of its executives was murdered last year, sparking outrage online over care denials. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to pause a ruling that ordered it to restore nearly $800 million in canceled research grants. A Massachusetts judge found the NIH violated rulemaking procedures when it scrapped funding for projects involving gender identity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A federal appeals court declined to block the decision, so now the administration is seeking an emergency review. It argues the grants don't align with its policies or advance public health. Lindsay is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later a massive new copper mine could soon power America's tech and boost Arizona's economy.
Well, we did have a few showers earlier in the afternoon, but overall today was a really nice day. Still pretty warm. Let's go ahead and take a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Now we do have, again, mostly clear skies tonight, but we had a few showers earlier, mainly along I-49 and then pushing out towards the east, so we're looking pretty good. Now continuing to push further into the week, we're going to see those temperatures continue to rise. Now like today, we got up to about 96 with our low this morning at 79. So we started off near 80 degrees this morning. Average, we should be low 90s, low 70s. So we're well above average. That does continue further into the work week. Tomorrow, due to some afternoon clouds, we might stay in the mid 90s instead of going into the upper 90s range. So not too bad, but those heat index values are going to be high. So once we get into Sunday afternoon, it's going to feel like 103 in Joplin, 106 Girard, 107 Fort Scott, Iola, Chanute, Fredonia, Independence, Sedan. So a lot of our counties out in Kansas up to about 107. Now all of us are going to be above 100. The same as we get into Monday, our heat index is going to be pretty high as well. From 100 to about 105, maybe pushing 106. So we're still at this very high heat index range because nobody's below 100 in the area. So that means we're going to be looking at this heat exhaustion, likely heat stroke possible range. That's 105 to 130, which we're not near 130. We're pushing up to 109 for the next couple of days. That's going to be the highest range that we could see for our heat index. That starts on Sunday. Moderate risk, that's the orange, and then we kind of have a few splotchy patches of a major risk out in our eastern counties, out in southeastern Kansas as well. Widespread on Monday, so a lot of us in our central southern counties seeing that major risk. We're definitely going to have some high temperatures, high heat index on Monday. Tuesday, starting to see it dial back, but we still have extreme temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday. But Wednesday, we're looking better. Not quite in our area, but a minor risk out near Wichita and further into Kansas. Now, by Thursday, temperatures drop, and we're looking at a minor risk for all of our counties and even further of a drop on Friday, which we're just going to continue to see that into next week because we're finally seeing a break in our extreme temperatures. Now, again, 94 on Sunday, so a little bit above average, not too bad. 96 on Monday, 97 Tuesday, 98 on Wednesday, and then flipping that, low 90s on Thursday and Friday, mid 90s on Saturday, back to lows Sunday, and upper 80s on Monday. We also have recurring chances of thunderstorms starting on Thursday and then continuing into the rest of the weekends into early the following work week. It's going to be Monday, so we have these two high pressure systems, so we're going to be pinched right in between those, bringing our temperatures down and bringing some daily rain chances for most of the 4 states. Looking pretty good for the next couple of days, just high temperatures, and then we get a break in the heat and sunshine.
Lindsay, thanks. Coming up, teacher pay is back in the spotlight, and so is the politics around it. The fight over America's classrooms coming up. Well, copper prices are trading at record levels as the industry braces for President Trump's 50% tariff on imports to kick in August 1st. But even without the tariffs, demand for copper is booming and sparking a desire to build domestically. Fox News' Max Gordon is in Casa Grande, Arizona with more.
Ivanhoe Electric says they're hoping to open up their Santa Cruz copper mine sometime in 2028. Then they'll be producing 99.99% pure copper. Over the 23-year life of this mine, they say they'll be able to produce around 3 billion pounds of copper. Now, over the past couple of years, they've been taking core samples just like this, essentially trying to create a 3D map underground of where the copper is located here, and they've been using drill rigs just like this one. Over the past couple of years, they've drilled more than 1 million feet underground. So why is this all important? Copper is used for all kinds of things, from wiring and cables to electronics and piping. And currently, the U.S. only produces around 50% of the copper that it uses. Based on stats from the International Energy Agency, the U.S. is 5th in the world for copper mining, behind Chile, the DRC, Peru, and China.
The global copper market really isn't as much about competition. Globally, we don't produce enough copper to meet future demand. And so, we need more projects to meet domestic and global demand, and we'll sell every pound of copper we produce just like other projects will.
And with President Trump threatening to implement tariffs on imported copper, the Santa Cruz copper mine promises to be a big source of domestic copper. This copper deposit is also in a great location. Power and natural gas lines already reach the mine site, and it's in close proximity to rail lines and Interstate 10. The CEO of Ivanhoe Electric says that it all means that they can produce this 99.99% pure copper at a relatively low cost. And while permits need to be approved and the project still needs to be financed, they've been moving very quickly compared to other mining projects, aiming to get the mine up and running after about 8 years of planning and work. Ivanhoe Electric says that this mine will create hundreds of jobs, with many of these jobs providing for six-figure salaries. In Casa Grande, Arizona, Max Gordon, Fox Business.
Well, Tesla reported a double-digit drop in earnings for the second quarter following a record sales drop. The electric car company's adjusted net income was $1.4 billion. That's a drop of $419 million from 1 year ago. Sales of its best-selling Model Y and Model 3 fell 12% compared to a year ago, while sales of its more expensive cars, including the Cybertruck, plunged 52%. These drops have been attributed to backlash from CEO Elon Musk's political activities and increased competition for electric vehicles. The Trump administration's tariffs on imported cars and auto parts are taking a toll on Volkswagen. Europe's largest car maker says it lost $1.5 billion during the first half of this year. VW's operating profit for the quarter that ended last month fell off nearly 30% to a year earlier. The decline was steeper than most analysts had expected, according to FactSet. General Motors is also dealing with major effects from tariffs. It lost more than $1 billion in the second quarter and projects a $4 to $5 billion loss by the end of this year. Up next, a big milestone for America's oldest communications network. The U.S. Postal Service is getting a big birthday. Well, America's first communications network, the U.S. Postal Service, is celebrating the Big 250 this weekend. The Second Continental Congress established a postal system on July 26th of 1775. 1 year before the Declaration of Independence. Today, the Postal Service has 640,000 employees, with more than half of them letter carriers. The USPS is commemorating the birthday with 2 sets of specialty stamps. One features an aerial view of a mail carrier walking her route in a busy town through the 4 seasons. The other set features the first ever Postmaster General, Benjamin Franklin. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, Congress is packing their bags for summer recess, but the Senate might not be going anywhere.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
Well, it's recess time in Congress. House members are heading home early while senators have another week to go. President Trump, however, is putting pressure on them before they leave. Both groups have plenty of unfinished business waiting for them. Fox News' Chad Pergram reports from Capitol Hill.
The House checking out early for its summer recess. But the Senate could stick around to confirm President Trump's nominees.
I'm not afraid of hard work, so however long we need to stay to get nominations done.
President Trump imploring Senate Republicans to, quote, cancel August recess and long weekends to confirm nominees. More than 130 Trump nominees await confirmation, ranging from assistant cabinet secretaries to ambassadors. Republicans accuse Democrats of hamstringing the president's picks by bleeding the clock on each nominee.
This is clearly an attempt to block and delay and obstruct. It is an example of Trump derangement syndrome on steroids.
GOP senators are willing to blow off the beach in exchange for Washington's August swamp.
He wants his people confirmed. If he tells us to stay, I'll happily stay.
Democrats aren't ready to cede their leverage.
I certainly want to go back and be able to talk to my constituents, but they also elected me to be here to be able to fight these fights.
However, lingering in Washington presents a people problem.
It's important that we go home and talk to our constituents and hear what they have to say about the issues.
Republicans face challenges marketing the big, beautiful bill.
We're going to try to hit as many counties as humanly possible to talk about the different elements of the bill, really sell it. What I'm shocked is how little people really know what's in the bill.
The Senate has never failed to confirm any of an executive's nominees on a fast track before President Trump, or in a batch all at once. But that could change. That's because Democrats also want to ditch Washington for the summer. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Well, states will soon receive more than $5 billion in public school funding previously withheld by the Trump administration. The Education Department says the money will start flowing next week. The administration paused nearly $7 billion last month for a White House budget review, even though Congress had already approved the funds. Last week, the White House released over $1 billion for after-school programs. Officials say guardrails will be in place to make sure the money supports the president's priorities. Former Congressman George Santos is now in prison. Friday, Santos turned himself in to begin his 7-year prison sentence. In 2024, Santos pleaded guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. He filed false campaign finance reports and charged donors' credit cards without their consent. The New York Republican was also ordered to pay $373,000 in restitution. He was kicked out of Congress in 2023 after a House investigative report found substantial evidence to support allegations he had misused campaign funds for personal benefit. Congressional Democrats are crafting legislation to up the salaries of public school teachers. Republicans, however, say this is yet another example of the party tilting to the left and toward teachers' unions.
Reading, writing, and controversy. Progressive Senator Bernie Sanders teaming up with American Federation of Teachers head Randy Weingarten on bills to bolster teacher pay and improve school faculty numbers.
We have to use politics to solve problems, and these two bills are bills that are going to solve problems.
The average public school teacher in America today earns over 5% less than he or she did nearly 30 years ago.
Democrats trying to reclaim voters in the labor movement who they lost to MAGA. Weingarten recently praised Democratic New York City nominee for mayor Zohran Mamdani. The left embraces Weingarten.
She's actually quite innovative. You know what the biggest thing she's done? She's partnered with industry, with the private sector, to get young kids credentialed so that they have a job after 12th grade in a trade.
Republicans claim Sanders and Weingarten appearing together at a Capitol Hill education forum shows that unions are more focused on a liberal agenda than test scores.
It's a Star Wars bar of leftists that are in charge of that party. And so I think they do not know how to get back to a place where they can appeal to mainstream America.
Republican Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn and GOP North Carolina Representative Mark Harris want Congress to strip the National Education Association of its charter. Progressives say the GOP wants to undercut teachers.
Teachers are underpaid, they are overworked, and going after the teachers' union is one of the biggest ways that you can really tear apart public schools.
The NEA recently approved a resolution defending its use of the word fascism to describe President Trump. But the NEA may need to work on its ABCs. The union misspelled fascism. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Coming up later, from oxygen tanks to open roads, an Iowa woman's incredible rag-bray journey after a double lung transplant.
Well, we did have a few showers earlier in the afternoon, but overall today was a really nice day. Still pretty warm. Let's go ahead and take a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Now we do have, again, mostly clear skies tonight, but we had a few showers earlier, mainly along I-49 and then pushing out towards the east, so we're looking pretty good. Now continuing to push further into the week, we're going to see those temperatures continue to rise. Now like today, we got up to about 96 with our low this morning at 79. So we started off near 80 degrees this morning. Average, we should be low 90s, low 70s, so we're well above average. That does continue further into the work week. Tomorrow, due to some afternoon clouds, we might stay in the mid-90s instead of going into the upper 90s range, so not too bad. But those heat index values are going to be high. So once we get into Sunday afternoon, it's going to feel like 103 in Joplin, 106 Girard, 107 Fort Scott, Iola, Chanute, Fredonia, Independence, Sedan. So a lot of our counties out in Kansas up to about 107. Now all of us are going to be above 100. The same as we get into Monday, our heat index is going to be pretty high as well. from 100 to about 105, maybe pushing 106. So we're still at this very high heat index range because nobody's below 100 in the area. So that means we're going to be looking at this heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible range. That's 105 to 130, which we're not near 130. We're pushing up to 109 for the next couple of days. That's going to be the highest range that we could see for our heat index. That starts on Sunday. Moderate risk, that's the orange, and then we kind of have a few splotchy patches of a major risk out in our eastern counties, out in southeastern Kansas as well. Widespread on Monday, so a lot of us in our central southern counties seeing that major risk. We're definitely going to have some high temperatures, high heat index on Monday. Tuesday, starting to see it dial back, but we still have extreme temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday. But Wednesday, we're looking better. Not quite in our area, but a minor risk out near Wichita and further into Kansas. Now, by Thursday, temperatures drop, and we're looking at a minor risk for all of our counties and even further of a drop on Friday, which we're just going to continue to see that into next week because we're finally seeing a break in our extreme temperatures. Now, again, 94 on Sunday, so a little bit above average, not too bad. 96 on Monday, 97 Tuesday, 98 on Wednesday, and then flipping that, low 90s on Thursday and Friday, mid 90s on Saturday, back to low Sunday, and upper 80s on Monday. We also have recurring chances of thunderstorms starting on Thursday and then continuing into the rest of the weekends into early the following work week. It's going to be Monday, so we have these two high pressure systems, so we're going to be pinched right in between those, bringing our temperatures down and bringing some daily rain chances for most of the 4 states. Looking pretty good for the next couple of days, just high temperatures, and then we get a break in the heat and sunshine.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Still ahead, the Outlaws look to win their 8th game in a row. And an NCAA champion comes to Columbus to host a youth wrestling camp. Ben McLeish has those stories and more up next in sports.
On Sunday, Pitt State softball player Kendall Forbes was hospitalized following a car crash in Bourbon County. Now the PSU softball team, athletic department, and local sporting goods store Jock's Niche have set up a fundraiser. You can support the cause by picking up her shirt right here in Pittsburgh at Jock's Niche on Broadway or the Wichita location. The proceeds go to the Forbes family, helping them offset medical expenses as Kendall receives life-saving care at the KU Medical Center. Orders will be taken through the end of July. It's not every day you get to meet an NCAA champion, but over 60 kids throughout the 4 states did just that today. Wyatt Hendrickson, a Kansas native and 2025 NCAA champion, hosts a youth wrestling camp today at Columbus High School. Kids aged between 6 to 18 came out to meet Hendrickson and receive one-on-one coaching. Hendrickson hosts youth camps the entire summer with one major goal: to bring out the love of wrestling for kids all around Kansas.
Kansas is where I'm from, it's my people, and they've poured so much into me my entire life of wrestling. So now it's my turn to give back, so I love coming to, all over Kansas so that I can give back and teach these kids, what I've learned and letting them know that even if we're from a small place of Kansas, doesn't matter, we can still do great things. We're all just one family at the end of the day, and that's important to me. We're all brothers and sisters out here having fun.
The Joplin Outlaws take on the Sherman Shadowcats at Joe Becker Stadium tonight, looking for their 8th straight win. Yesterday, Joplin won 11-1 in 8 innings via the run rule. Today, the offense only scores 2 runs, but they still get the job done, thanks to an 8-inning masterclass from reigning MAL Pitcher of the Week, Walker Sweet, as the Outlaws win their 8th game in a row and are the first team to reach 40 wins on this season. Well, over in the major leagues, the Royals have a doubleheader with the division rival Guardians. Game 1 goes to extra innings where Jonathan India hits a 3-run walk-off bomb to secure the win for KC in the series opener. But the Guardians respond in Game 2, scoring 6 runs and taking down KC 6-4. So the Royals go even on the day and still sit 4.5 games out of the wild card. But KC does make a big move in the middle of their second game. They trade for Diamondbacks veteran outfielder Randall Grichuk. They give up rookie pitcher Andrew Hoffman, who's only made 3 appearances out of the bullpen this season. Grichuk is the second veteran player the Royals have signed before the trade deadline, and it seems like the Royals are going to be small buyers. So far, no big names, but they're hoping Grichuk and last week's addition Adam Frazier can make a difference for this year's team. And the Cardinals had the chance to clinch the series over the Padres, but they can't get their offense going. San Diego wins 3-1, and the Redbirds will try again for the series win tomorrow at 1:15. In Minnesota, PGA golfers wrap up day 3 of the 3M Open, and we end the round with a tie for first place. Akshay Bhatia shoots 8 under today to end the round, tied with yesterday's frontrunner Thorbjorn Olesen. But they'll both have their work cut out for them tomorrow because 4 golfers finish at 17 under, including Kurt Kitayama, who shot 11 under today, passing 41 golfers in the process. Overall, there's 11 golfers within 3 strokes of first place, so we should get an electric final round tomorrow. Well, that's all for sports. We're back with more after this.
No, we're not. We're going to stay right on here. Sorry, just a little technical difficulty there. Let's go straight back into baseball, though. Tough loss for the Cardinals tonight.
Yes, it would have been great to get that series won tonight. Plus, if they would have won this game, they would only be a half game out of the wild card. But they can still win the series tomorrow.
Well, I'm hopeful for my Cardinals to do a little bit better. And, and it's Akshay Bhatia, just for future reference, just so you know. Do my man some justice there on the PGA. We'll be right back. A House investigative report found substantial. For many cyclists, RAGBRAI is a test of endurance, but for one Iowa woman, it's a celebration of survival. Katie Koppel has more on how she's honoring her journey and the person who made it possible.
RAGBRAI looks a little different for Esterville, Iowa native Barb Heenan.
So it's kind of crazy to be out here this year without an oxygen tank pulling around with me.
Last year, Heenan completed RAGBRAI on oxygen.
I mean, last year on 15 liters of oxygen, we changed my tank out every 30 minutes.
She has scleroderma.
So scleroderma is an autoimmune disease that is the overproduction of collagen. So on the outside, it can harden your skin. On the inside, it can harden your internal organs, such as your lungs.
5 years ago, when she began feeling the effects of the disease on her lungs, she decided it was time to conquer her bucket list, and that included RAGBRAI.
Wasn't my thing. It wasn't me.
You're just along for the ride, quite literally.
Mark says we're going to do this. I said, okay.
Well, Randine and I are both Iowa born and raised, and it was always just on the bucket list.
When she was put on oxygen last year,
I went on oxygen, and I'm like, okay, my days of RAGBRAI are done. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Right.
And then last year, we were like, you know what?
We're doing it.
We're doing it. I'm going to get every last mile out of these lungs that God gave me.
With help from her family and friends, she did the unthinkable and did it anyway, oxygen tanks and all, while waiting for a double lung transplant.
December 5th of last year. So I just celebrated my 7-month anniversary, lung anniversary.
Heenan can't ride this year. Instead, she's the support driver for her team. But next year,
it feels really good, and I look forward to next year when I can actually ride.
While she will be on 4 wheels this year instead of 2, Heenan and her team are paying tribute to the person who gave her a chance to ride again.
And to honor my donor and use these lungs.
It's a big sacrifice.
Yeah. It's the least I can do.
And Barb is an inspiration.
Yeah.
And if she only knew who her donor was, she would honor them loudly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, it's about to be Miller time. Miller Lite is celebrating its 50th anniversary in a big way. The brand is giving 50,000 free beers at bars across the United States. They'll be offered at nearly 500 bars in more than a dozen states on August 1st, which is International Beer Day. Miller Lite is also hosting a New Year's Eve style beer drop at its brewery in Milwaukee. The 50th birthday celebration got going earlier in the summer with limited edition gold cans. There's also a partnership with Saturday Night Live star Marcelo Hernandez. Godzilla's back on the big screen. Pokemon drops new adventures and G.I. Joe inspired metal band becomes real. The wildest headlines in pop culture up next. Nerdtastic news this weekend from the worlds of Pokemon, Godzilla, and G.I. Joe. Rick Damangella reports.
There goes Tokyo again. The 2016 film Shin Godzilla is heading back to the big screen. The movie has been remastered in 4K with select theaters slated for screenings in 4DX and D-Box. Shin Godzilla stomps into theaters August 14th. New Pokemon projects appear. The Pokemon Company has unveiled multiple upcoming adventures. Among them are the just-released Pokemon Friends, playable on Nintendo Switch, Switch 2, Android, and iOS devices. On the animation side, the company showed footage from the new season of Netflix's Pokemon Concierge and revealed a sneak peek at a new animated Poke series produced by Aardman, slated to arrive in 2027. If you are a G.I. Joe fan, no, your ears are not deceiving you. That is the band Cold Slither performing its eponymous metal tune. Originating in an episode of the 80s cartoon G.I. Joe, Cold Slither is now a very real band consisting of members of Gruesome, Exhumed, and KMFDM. Cold Slither's self-titled debut album is out now. Nerding out in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damangella.
Well, today is National Bagel Fest Day. It's really up to you if you want to go with an old standby or perhaps try a new bagel flavor. There are plenty to choose from. Toppings, of course, include many varieties of schmear, or maybe you can try something different and toast the bagel. Possibilities are endless when it comes to bagels. They're pretty easy to find from bakeries to your local grocer. You probably already know they are associated with Jewish cuisine, but did you know bagels were brought to the U.S. by Polish migrants? They first came to New York, whose residents will still tell you they have the best bagels in the U.S. I guess we'll have to see about that. That's our time for now. Thanks for joining us from all of us here. Have a great night.